to show you the value of consequence because they teach you to fear consequence, like it's a cruelty and abuse or something done to you. But consequence is the only proof you were ever real. That's all it is. Because before consequence, everything you ever did was just motion. It was noise, performance. You could do whatever, say whatever, touch whoever, destabilize whatever. And if nothing came back to you, it did not mean you were free. It meant you were insulated. That's what it actually meant. Because power does not corrupt people. Consequence removal does. Because the moment action stops answering back, I want you to get what I'm saying. You don't become confident. You become untethered. And they train you for that real early, real quietly, real politely. They give you phrases for it right on the back of the fortune cookie. I didn't mean it like that. That's what they say. It wasn't my intention. You're taking it the wrong way. That feels unfair. And all of those sound reasonable until you realize what they're doing. They're teaching you how to separate cause from effect. That's what they're doing. Not to repair harm, but to discount it. And that's what entitlement actually is. That's where it actually starts. It's not in wanting more. Entitlement is not wanting more. It's wanting the cost reduced. And this is where it shows up the clearest in relationships. Because relationships are the one place where consequence is immediate. Someone pulls away, someone hardens, someone stops trusting you, someone changes how they feel. And instead of asking, what did I cause? You're taught to ask, why are you reacting like this? That's what you're taught to ask. But that question right there is consequence avoidance in its purest form. Because now the problem isn't what you did. It's how they felt. Now distance is punishment. Boundaries are control. And loss of trust is unfair. So you explain and you justify and you defend your intention. And slowly, without noticing, you start asking for intimacy without accountability. You want closeness without the cost. Forgiveness without the metabolization. And connection without any consequences. And that's not love. It's extraction with feelings. That's all it is. And the moment that someone refuses to absorb it for you, when they pull back, when they change, when they stop offering the same type of access, you don't see it as feedback, you see it as harm. That's the turn. That's the turn right there. That's when accountability becomes attack. That's when feedback becomes violence. That's when reality becomes unsafe. And now you act freely while insisting on innocence. Right. That's what it is. And now you can act freely with that while insisting on innocence. And that's not freedom. It's a fantasy you've enforced on other people. Because a person who knows consequences exist still lives in the real world. It's true. They hesitate. They calibrate. They let their actions cost them. But someone who thinks that consequence itself is illegitimate, they don't negotiate with reality when they decide something. They override it. They don't change. They explain. They don't repair. They justify. And that's the problem with consequence avoidance right there. And the more fluent you become at avoiding consequence, the less real everyone feels. That's what it is. That's why cruelty accelerates right after consequence gets rebranded as harm. Because when nothing is allowed to touch you, nothing else matters. That's what it is. And that's what they never told you. That consequence was never punishment. It was proof of contact. It was. It was proof your actions had mass. Proof other people weren't imaginary. And proof you existed in a shared world. That's what it meant. That's what consequence was supposed to do for you. But they taught you to fear it. Because a person who accepts it can't be controlled by comfort. So sit with this, right? I don't want you to think about this too hard. I want you to sit with it. Which consequences feel unfair when they show up in your relationship? If you can answer that, right? Let's go further. Which cost do you believe love shouldn't ask you to pay? I just want to hear what you say. Because whatever consequence loses value, entitlement grows. And whatever entitlement grows, power stops being human. But not because it's too strong, right? Not because it's too strong, because all power arises from humanity. It's because nothing is allowed to touch it anymore.